Sea of Thieves, an Xbox exclusive pirate game released back in 2018. It's now 2023, so this game has had plenty of time for updates, improvements and patches. Sea of Thieves, when it released, was a boring and empty world where the only thing you could really do was fetch quests. Go here, dig this up, return it. Go here, collect this thing, return it. While the game did have some interesting things, like Kraken attacks at sea, Megalodon attacks and skeleton fortresses, these were too few and far between. You know, the daily grind of Sea of Thieves was, in a nutshell, fetch quests, whether you liked it or not. However, as I said, it's now 2023, the game has had several updates, so surely it's better now, right? Well, yes and no. Now, I only ever really play it with friends, and from what I experienced the other night while we played for about 4 hours was this. Figure out this riddle, figure out this riddle, figure out this riddle, and now figure out where to dig. Find chest, put on ship. Repeat this about 20 times, go and return chests to NPC for gold and whatever, tediously go back and forth to the ship and NPC 20 times because God forbid you could hand in all your loot at once, and then that was it. That was the 4 hours that we played the other night, and I came offline thinking to myself, was that it? Now, luckily for me, that was in fact not it. Over the past 2 weeks, I have played more Sea of Thieves, and I have discovered more things to do in the game. We'll start with sea forts, which are actually one of my favourite things to do in Sea of Thieves. You attack these forts by sailing to them, dropping anchor, and then clearing the fort of all the phantoms and the fort's captain. Once cleared, you gain a key to access the fort's vault key, and then it's full of phantom loot, chests, skulls, even some merchant loot. What makes sea forts even better is that you can find hidden loot throughout the fort, hidden in drawers or cupboards, and there is even another key hidden somewhere that unlocks the storage room at the top of the fort, which is holding extra loot. And the last reason I think sea forts are good is because they don't take very long to do, and are a relatively fast way to gain a decent amount of loot, which is great for players looking for a quick way to make some easy gold. The next thing we have is mermaid hideaways, known as sunken places. These are marked on the map. You sail to them and then have to swim down to the bottom of the sea, where you will be tasked with either combat, puzzles, or a mixture of both. At the end of whatever tasks you have completed will be sunken loot that you can send back to your ship with a siren statue. The downside of these activities is that your ship is above water, completely vulnerable to literally any other players, and you won't find out until you spawn back at your ship. Your ship can even be sunk while you're below water, which isn't ideal. Now, call me boring, but one thing I actually love that Sea of Thieves has added is the Hunter's Call faction and fishing. Nowadays, it seems that every game needs to have fishing in it for some bizarre reason, but in Sea of Thieves, it actually makes sense. It's one of the most chill activities in the game. You just fish, cook your fish, hopefully to perfection, and then sell it to the Hunter's Call. You can even cook other kinds of meat and sell it to them too. Now, while this faction won't exactly make you rich, and leveling up with them takes some time, I just really enjoy fishing, cooking the fish, and then selling it in large amounts. It's just oddly satisfying. Now, I'm sure there are more activities I have yet to experience, or at least I hope there are more to look forward to. So Sea of Thieves has improved in its selection of things to do while sailing the seas, but how does the gameplay stack up? We'll start with normal combat, which is kind of boring. You have a choice of a pistol, blunderbuss, or a sniper, each of which can only hold 5 shots. Then you have your sword, and sword combat is a combination of melee attacking, a heavy attack, or blocking and trying to parry. Now, the game does offer a unique mix of skeletons, the AI enemy you'll see a lot of while playing. Gold skeletons, for example, are invulnerable to melee attacks. Seaweed skeletons are more susceptible to melee attacks. Phantom skeletons need to have a light shone on them to make them vulnerable. So fighting skeletons is okay for the most part, but player versus player combat, in my opinion, is very meh. Most players you come across will run a blunderbuss because it deals the most damage and can kill you practically instantly. And when it comes to sword combat against other players, it's usually just to, you know, spam melee attacks at each other until one of you dies. It's not great. There are throwables that you can use, such as fire bombs and blunder bombs that deal damage and set your opponent alight, but most players will have a stash of these already, so it doesn't really give you much of an advantage. Now, ship combat is far more interesting and stressful, and this is one thing I definitely think Sea of Thieves got right, but also wrong. I'll start with the good stuff. That being, ship combat is awesome. You have to load up the cannons manually, repair the ship with the planks if it gets damaged, use your bucket to get water out of the ship. All the while, someone is trying to steer around the enemy ship and angle your ship so you can fire your cannons at them. It's very fun and also very stressful. Now, where Sea of Thieves shoots itself in the foot is that this game isn't really designed for solo play. The smallest ship is a sloop, which is best manned by 2 people. I've tried to man it solo, and it is definitely possible, but it's just so much hassle. You need to know where you're going, you need to steer, you need to manage your sails, you need to drop and raise the anchor. If someone attacks you, then you're done for. It's just way too much for one person to have to manage, and I really think that's not good for the player base. Some people will have installed this game thinking they can have a good time by themselves, when in actuality, they will really struggle. And I'm not saying it's impossible to play solo in this game, because I know a lot of people do, but those people have a lot of hours in it, and they know like how to do things the most efficient way. For newer players, I just think, who go into this game thinking they can play it solo, I just really don't think that it's solo friendly to new players. It really isn't. Because even the sloop, you still have to do everything yourself. Mark the location, steer, keep an eye on the anchors, keep an eye on the sails, you know. If someone attacks you, what are you going to do? You don't have time to steer, shoot, not crash. It's just way too much. And it's frustrating too, when you've been playing for a good few hours, and then some other players come in on a bigger ship and just absolutely annihilate you, and then those hours you spent are literally just a massive waste of time. And I understand the game is called Sea of Thieves, but losing literal hours of progress isn't fun in any game. Now, I think an improvement would to be make separate lobbies with a choice of PvE and then PvPvE. That way players can chill instead of having other players ruin their day. But if people want to play against other people, then they have the choice. Now, I know there are going to be people in the comments, or people who are like hardcore Sea of Thieves players, who are going to disagree with me. Like, I can see that coming a mile away. But I just think, like, you guys saying stuff like, oh, that's the point of the game, like, that doesn't justify me losing 6 hours of my day to 3-4 people on a galleon who have been sweating their ass off all day on a pirate game. Like, it's just not fun. It's miserable, and it's happened before. But I'm not gonna, like, go on about this. Like, if people disagree, then fair enough. Tall Tales are one of the best things Sea of Thieves has added. Now, Tall Tales are story-based quests that you can do solo or with friends. They have secrets and commendations to unlock, and they actually are somewhat interesting. At the moment, my friends and I have been playing through The Pirate's Life Tall Tale, which, if you didn't know, are the quests involving Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I feel like this is what Sea of Thieves wanted to launch with back in 2018, but they didn't, probably due to licensing issues or something along those lines. Now that they do have Tall Tales, I'd say they've helped the game greatly, because now, if you're a solo player, these are far more welcoming than just hopping on a sloop and getting completely destroyed by a larger crew. Now, I obviously haven't played every Tall Tale, so I can't comment on all of them just yet, but we have started the Pirates of the Caribbean one. We're about a third of the way through it. Pretty fun. Puzzle-based with a mix of combat, but it's more story-based. I think it's better. You do still get rewards at the end of it, so there is a point to do it, and they are replayable. Having the commendations to go for as well with little secrets and stuff is very fun. And of course, Jack Sparrow is a phenomenal character. The only downside I would say of the Pirates of the Caribbean Tall Tale is, unfortunately, the person that voices Jack Sparrow isn't Johnny Depp, which I'm not surprised, but it's just a bit of a shame because Johnny Depp is Jack Sparrow. The Maiden Voyage is what new players to Sea of Thieves should play first, and back in 2018, this voyage simply did not exist. The Maiden Voyage is basically a mini Tall Tale in the form of a tutorial, but still including story elements. The pirate captain helps you along, teaching you the basics of playing Sea of Thieves, and helps you repair your ship ready to sail the last few nautical miles through the Shroud and into the Sea of Thieves. This Maiden Voyage even has secrets within it, including a hefty sum of gold hidden on the Magpie's fortune. The Maiden Voyage is definitely up there with one of the best additions to Sea of Thieves, helping newcomers to the game, teaching them how to play, and including some secrets as a reward to those players who have a keen eye. Emissaries are another addition to Sea of Thieves that are great for helping players level up their reputation and earn more gold more quickly. You can become an emissary for the Gold Hoarders, the Order of Souls, the Merchants, or the Reaper's Bones. By becoming an emissary for a trading company, you will level up your emissary flag the more activities you do for that company. The maximum level your flag can reach is level 5, at which point you should turn in your flag to that trading company for bonus gold. However, by having an emissary flag, you become a target for emissaries of the Reaper's Bones, players who hunt other players for their loot and their flags. Reaper's Bones emissaries are marked on the map for all players to see, meaning you can avoid them if you need to. Emissaries are basically a risk-reward system that can help you to level up faster and earn you bonus gold, but the risk is that the Reaper's Bones players will hunt you down to steal your flag and turn it in themselves. Now, the achievements in Sea of Thieves are mostly tedious, like ridiculously tedious. Some even require other crews' help, which is really hard to get because most players do not trust each other. Sea of Thieves has 226 achievements, and guess what? There are some you can't even unlock due to the game's arena mode being dropped. The developers decided that rather than removing the achievements or changing the requirements, they would mark them as legacy, meaning anyone who doesn't have them unlocked literally cannot unlock them. So for me, it is literally impossible to 100% this game ever unless they change this, and that infuriates me. I hate the decision to not just change the achievements requirements or just remove them entirely, or better yet, just add the mode back. Either way, Sea of Thieves has a load of achievements and it will take you a ridiculously long time to unlock them all. And you might not even be able to 100% this game if you weren't playing when arenas was a thing. So, good luck. And that's my review of Sea of Thieves. A not terrible game, but a not great one either. The game is decent, but it's not breathtaking or spectacular. It's just kind of okay. I'm still going to play the game and try to go for as many of the achievements as I can, but it will always nag me at the back of my mind that I will never be able to fully 100% it because of some stupid decision by the developers. And if you enjoy Sea of Thieves and you love this game, then that's absolutely fine. I'm not trying to like shit on the game or be like, you shouldn't play Sea of Thieves, because it is a fun game, but it's definitely not like phenomenal. It's pretty average. With friends, maybe above average, but like solo especially, it's just not worth the time. It's really not. Anyway, that is the end of my review on Sea of Thieves, an okay game that is fun with friends, but not worth playing solo. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and maybe consider subscribing. I make videos like this one all the time, about every 2 to 3 weeks. Much love as well for the massive support on the Valheim video. That was fucking insane. 2.2k views is the best the video has ever done on this channel, so I am incredibly grateful to all of you. And yeah, let's just keep going. Anyway, stay safe, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Much love, and I'll see you next time.